Hello, everyone, and welcome to learn how to implement Salesforce OAuth in DocuSign. We will get started in just about 5 minutes. Hello, and welcome to everyone. I'm seeing some familiar names from our earlier sessions. Welcome back. We will get started in just about 3 minutes. Okay, hello everyone and welcome. Welcome to learning to implement Salesforce OAuth within DocuSign. My name is Lauren Dunn. I am a senior Salesforce advocate here at DocuSign for our developer programs. I will be your host, MC, cheerleader, and cruise director for today. So welcome aboard. Today I am here with two of our amazing Salesforce experts, Neil Kumar, Salesforce Engineer Manager, and Shantanu Sharma, a Senior Software Engineer. We are so excited to have both of you guys here today to share your knowledge. So thank you so much for joining us, Neil and Shantanu. Sorry, I'm getting tongue-tied already.
Glad to be here.
Thanks, Lauren. It's exciting.
Awesome. So if you have been to one of our webinars for the DocuSign e-signature for Salesforce Week, you know that the first 5 questions that come to our presenters will get a swag pack. That's right. So if you ask a question and you're one of the first 5, you get a swag pack. And bonus points if you can stump Neil or Shantanu. So with that, I'm going to also point out we are not alone. We are here with Melissa. Melissa is our right-hand girl. She makes sure we are on top of everything and she keeps everything running in the background. So Melissa, I'm going to hand it over to you for a little bit of housekeeping.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Lauren, and welcome everyone. As mentioned in chat, you are placed in listen-only mode. If you have questions, please use the Q&A button to ask your questions as they occur to you, and we'll answer those live or we'll answer them in the Q&A box. Right-click is also your friend. To save your questions and answers, simply right-click on them and save to your desktop or a document. Lastly, you should see a quick poll in just a moment. If you can answer those questions, that will help us understand where you are in your development journey and enable us to customize content for this and future webinars. So with that, I will hand it back over to Neil and Shantanu.
Hi, this is Neil Kumar. So the first question, is this webinar for you? So this talk is targeted at developers who want to learn more about how DocuSign backend authenticates itself with Salesforce backend when acting on behalf of our customers. Our deep dive demo will show developers how to implement OAuth-based authentication for their own apps. But wait, there's more. For admins, this will help you understand how moving from our legacy package to our new package would reduce your headaches. So hopefully this will come in handy to you. This is our safe harbor slide. And this disclaimer, our lawyers kind of, they require us to show this, but basically what we are doing is we are urging you, our audience, to not base your purchasing decisions solely on the presentation we are giving today. And don't take our forward-looking statements as commitment for delivery. Please do your due diligence before purchasing products from DocuSign, though we hope you do. We hope that you use us as your eSign provider. Thank you very much.
It wouldn't be a Salesforce presentation without a safe harbor slide, right?
True. So today's agenda is to give you a very quick overview of our products, no demos. And then we will talk about how the old method of OAuth works, of authentication works, and what the pitfalls are. And then the bulk of the talk will be what the new approach is, that we are using, and how does it make our and our customers' lives easier, and how, if you are building an app, you can benefit from what we have learned. So, so what I want to say here is, it's been more than 11 years since DocuSign started its app journey. Our first app called DocuSign for Salesforce showed up in the App Store in March of 2010, and it has allowed our users to send documents directly from offer signature directly from within Salesforce. This app has grown in functionality and usage every single quarter, and today it's in use by more than 5,000 customers who send off so many documents with signature that every 2 seconds, somebody somewhere signs in Salesforce document. It has been in existence for a long time. It's used a lot and continues to be used. And but our new app, the DocuSign Apps Launcher, these are not very great names, but us engineers were not asked. So is the successor to DFS and supports, in addition to eSign, Gen, Negotiate, and CLM functionalities. This app has been written from scratch and benefits from our experience in building and supporting DFS. And by making this a multi-product app, there will be less confusion amongst our potential customers as to which app to install, and less work for admins when customers purchase more products. So for example, if a customer is already using eSign and they want to use Gen, then the admins have to do less work in terms of setting it up. So this is and as you can see, I've put down the links to the App Exchange for our DocuSign Apps Launcher, also known as DAL, and for our legacy app, which is no longer available through the App Store. Here's the link to get to it, to get to the installation link through our support documents, through our support website. So let's talk about the old Salesforce OAuth, or authentication. I say OAuth is auth. This is what was first implemented for DFS, and we needed, when we added the functionality for doing data and document writebacks, we needed a way to authenticate our backend to Salesforce's backend to act on behalf of our customers. And the simplest way to do it was to store the integration user's Salesforce credentials in our system. But that was not enough. Initially it was enough, but after some time it was not enough, because Salesforce, in order to improve its own security, basically said that an org admin has to allow IP ranges, has to allow IP addresses that want to connect through the API. And if you don't want to do that, then you have to pass in the security token of the integration user. So this adds yet another step to the setup. And the more steps there in the setup, more things can go wrong. And it also increases security headaches for DocuSign, because we have to then make sure that these credentials are transported and stored securely, that we don't inadvertently expose any of these credentials to anybody, because once you get your hands on these credentials, you could log in to our customers' orgs and play havoc. In addition, if the integration user's password is changed on a regular cadence, and many companies these days require passwords to be no more than 3 months old, the document and data write back will just stop working. And they will not start working again till the password is updated, which is a nightmare. Now, so basically what we end up doing is having out-of-band conversations. We call up a customer and say, hey, your password has expired, please update it. Or the customers call us and say, our integration seems to have stopped working. What went wrong? And we say, oh, wait a minute, did you change your password? So to sum it up, this is a risky and headachy way to connect DocuSign backend to Salesforce backend. And this experience made us look for better ways to authenticate our backend with Salesforce. Shantanu, show them what we learned and what we implemented.
Thank you, Neil. Hello, folks. Thank you, Neil, for a great background. So as a part of DocuSign, one of our quests is to make sure that in all of our products, trust is embedded. We want to make sure that all the data which we are handling on your behalf, or storing on your behalf, or moving between system on your behalf, customers' behalf, we want to make sure it's saved or passed in the most secure manners. That's why we always aspire to get the best and best technologies outside to make sure that we can stand up to that trust. So the new Salesforce OAuth implementation is based on industry standard OAuth 2.2 using the JWT token flow. We want to make sure that we are at the best protocol for authentication, and we use the best possible technology for passing information. As Neil said, there were a lot of pitfalls in older system, such as we have to save username, passwords, and other PII information. What we do require as a part of OAuth is only your username and only the login URL. There is no other information which is required. Login URL is basically the URL through which you log into your Salesforce account. It can be login.salesforce.com. For your sandbox, it can be test.salesforce.com, or it can be your community URL like myaccount.salesforce.com.
So Shantanu, sorry to interrupt you. We actually have a question on that. What is a DocuSign user permission that is required to connect via API with other systems? And do I need to assign full admin permissions?
That's a great question. And I'm so glad that you asked this, because that is something which we are going to show you what exactly are the permissions which are required.
Awesome.
Would it be okay if we put a pin on it? And I'll make sure to answer this question in details when we get to the demo.
Don't you worry, I'll make sure you answer it.
So much. Great question, by the way. So once we are successful, it returns a Salesforce authenticated object, which comes back as an access token and an instance URL. That's all you need in order to access from your own application to Salesforce. Once you have these two things, you can talk to Salesforce or any object or any document for that matter. So that makes our life very easy. Tokens can be cached in memory. Since it's your system, you can basically make sure that the tokens can be cached. Or one thing we have realized that the latency to get this authentication information is so low that you can actually do it at runtime. All the data which is required is your connected app client ID, your connected app certificate, and connected app password for that certificate. These are the only three requirements. The beauty of this is it's common across all the customers. It's a one-time deal. You just, whenever you create a connected app, it gives you the connected app client ID. Client ID should be the connected app client ID, the certificate, and the password. And as we said, like it's one and done. After that, all you need is a username and the login URL. So I just wanted to touch upon what is JWT. All of us are pretty familiar with OAuth 2.0, the latest standard or the best standard out there, arguably, to do authentication. JWT is another way. It's a very self-contained way for securing information between parties as a JSON object. Earlier, it was SAML. It had a big XML payload. Now it has become more compact, and you can basically use JSON objects to pass this information. Again, the protocol remains exactly the same. You, on one side, you basically you encrypt your information using different algorithms, RSA, HMAC, and on the other side, or on the validation side, you just basically make sure that they are generated from the correct place. These are some introduction docs which I've provided. Please feel free to check them out. It's pretty straightforward and pretty easy. And this is something which you can use in other systems as well. So there are a few setup steps required for you to go through this. Again, this is one-time setup, and I'll show you in details how we can set these things up. You need to create a Salesforce connected app. The Salesforce connected app is just like for way to you for your application to interact with Salesforce and vice versa. It's a very simple setup. I will show you how to create a connected app, and once you have the connected app set up, your application or your package on the backend can basically talk to Salesforce on its behalf. During installation flow, admin must grant consent to the connected app. So this goes back to the question which we had, is what kind of permissions are required? You just need to grant consent to the connected app of what kind of permissions do you want to give? Do you want to write back documents? What kind of operations do you want to do? Want your app to do it on its behalf? Now it can be data write back, it can be document write back, it can be updating statuses, or it can be any other fields which needs to update. So usually the admin can give full permission, but for non-admin users, the permissions would be given on behalf of admins. So they just have to provide a consent that, hey, please use this connected app on my behalf, and they would be good to go. The other thing which you talked about is enable API usage in admin settings. So we have to tell our Salesforce org, like, hey, please allow DocuSign to use APIs in order to interact with Salesforce. So you have a permission set, and then you have to provide your org the permissions telling DocuSign. You have to give your org the permission for DocuSign to chat with Salesforce on your org's behalf. So these are the three things, and I'm going to show all these things to you in details.
Shantanu, we have a couple of questions.
Yeah, absolutely.
Cool. Okay, the first one is, does this need to go via the similar connected app OAuth settings that we do to authorize with Salesforce endpoints? Is this similar to OAuth flow for web server flow?
This is actually OAuth's flow, or the web server 2.0 flow. So yes, it's exactly the same.
Okay, we have another question. Can a notification be sent to the connection if the connection fails? For example, connecting through IT Salesforce user account, the password expires.
So that's a great question. If you see in everything which we're talking about, there is no password required for this flow. So there is no user interaction which is required at all. So you don't actually need a password in this scenario.
Perfect, thank you.
And please feel free, if I'm not able to answer the question, please ask again. We would love that. I mean, if we are like, and tell us if you're not saying anything right. Thank you.
Don't you worry, I'll keep you honest, Shantanu.
Thank you. So yeah, these are the three main setup steps which are required. And as I said, this is going to be applicable for all the customers. This is going to be applicable. This is a one-time setup, and it's like fire and forget. You do it once and you're done. So this is, we draw a block diagram because, again, picture speaks louder than words. So I'll try to explain it in a block diagram. So this is what a block looks like. So when you're a user from Salesforce, when your application, all it needs, as I said, is a username, instance URL, and base URL. So as I said, username is the user on whose context you want to do the write back. Instance URL is something you need to pass if you have a community enabled, because in communities, you might in the same Salesforce org, you might have different URL for different users. And then the base URL, excuse me. And this base URL is basically the http login.salesforce.com. It can be test.salesforce.com based on the environment at which you want to generate the access token. And then also, as we mentioned, you need application client ID, you need application certificate, and the certificate password. Please store this in a secured location. This is something anyone who is logging into the Salesforce have access to. But that being said, if it's outside of Salesforce boundary, please absolutely make sure to encrypt it or to save it in a secure storage. Once we pass all this information to our function for generated Salesforce JWT, and then what it does, it actually creates a JWT token. It uses RSA encryption, and it generates a JWT token based on these parameters. Once that JWT token is generated, you send that JWT token as a post request on that base URL with the following body. The assertion is the JWT token, which you have generated in the first block, and the grant type, which is this parameters. You can see that it's a static parameter, so you can just basically hard code it once and then basically go from there. This is like a standard grant type is standard. If you have seen SAML implementation, the grant types change to JWT SAML bearer. And this is going to be a JWT bearer authentication token. So it's pretty straightforward to use. Once all this is done, once this post body is generated, we send this post body to Salesforce, and Salesforce does all the required thing. It authenticates you. It's the OAuth 2.0, so it authenticates you based on the client ID and the certificate. And then basically, if everything is okay, voila, you get, if it's a 200 okay response, you get back access token. You get the token type, which it will say it's a JWT exchange token. It will give you the scopes which have been enabled. Excuse me, which have been enabled for the user. These scopes can be different for admin users versus non-admin users, ID token, instance URL, and an ID. Not only this, as I was talking about communities, it will actually also give you the community URL and the community instance if you want to have the given user in a certain community. So you can use access token and log directly into those community and perform operations on those community. Not only this, if something goes wrong, which a lot of times does, it gives you a very specific error code and a good error information. To be honest, this has been extremely useful to us. Initially, as you were saying, like, so we would not know something has gotten wrong or some password has expired, as Neil was talking about in our old flow. But in the new flow, we have seen it very explicitly says invalid grant. The user has not given the combined connected permissions, or it says that user IP is not right, or the user does not have ability to work with the APIs on Salesforce behalf. So this is what the token flow looks like. Let's get into demo. So again, we have a lot of time, but please, absolutely, I love it that you guys are asking questions right then and there. So feel free to do that. So I'm going to show you. So this is something I think which is familiar. So I have my scratch arc, and please type if you're not able to see my screen, or if the fonts are too small. So this is my scratch arc, and I basically go to my Salesforce instance. So the first thing we talked about in prerequisite is how to set up a combined connected app on your behalf. So since it's going to be an org level setting, you go into org setup, then you type apps, you go to app manager, and then here you can see a new connected app. Now this new connected app, you can provide the connected app name. It will contact email. I'm just pulling this up, contact phone, if you want to, logo image URL, and this is the enable OAuth setting. So here is basically when you provide the callback URL. Callback URL is an important piece of information, because if you see in what happens in OAuth is the flow goes from your app to Salesforce, where Salesforce do the authentication, and then it basically sends it back to your app. So callback URL is something which you will have to provide. It's a required parameter, and it will let you know that, okay, once the authentication is finished, go back to your application. So it can be something like a simple controller, my app dot callback. You have to implement this in your code. Use digital signature. This is where you will upload your the certificate. The certificate is an open SSL certificate. I have provided the information how to generate this certificate as a part of appendix as well. All you need to do is upload this certificate and you should be good to go. It will ask for your password as well. You will provide that information, and then this JWT would be signed based using your certificate and your password. And in selected OAuth scope, this is the scopes which we talked about earlier. For admin usage, since this will be used on behalf of admin, you can provide all these available OAuth scope. You want to provide Chatter API, you want to provide full access. Usually for admin, you can provide full access, not for other users. And yeah, require secret for web server flow. This means that please sign my certificate. And Salesforce, if you want to have refresh token flow as well, which is not required here because it's so simple that you can generate a new access token every single time. And that's pretty much it. It will take 10 minutes to get up, and then your app should be ready. So if you see, this is your consumer key, or this is the client ID, which I have been talking about. So as you need 3 parameters, one is your client ID, which is the consumer key, the certificate which you have uploaded, and basically the password of the certificate. That's all what you need. Not only this, you can actually, Salesforce provide really good telemetry on how your connected app is performing. So you can see connected app OAuth usage. It can tell you it can tell you how your it can tell you how your connected app is being used, how many requests it's going through, how many authentication failed, how many authentication have been enabled. So this is where you can see the authentication. Since we have not used any request has not been used in connected auth using the connected app, that's why you cannot see that right now. Once you start, your app is in action, you would be able to see all the information which is required. So we have set up the connected app, and at the same time, we have basically set up passwords and everything as well. Now, the other thing and the final thing which is required is basically you want to provide, and this is where I would be able to answer the question, is the fact what kind of permissions are required. So we provided permissions as a part of scopes, and then all you need to do is on behalf of the system admin, so I go to system administrator. And all you need to tell is the fact that, hey, please let Salesforce, please let DocuSign, I'm sorry about the slow network. You have to see API. That's all, this permission. If you forget somehow to provide this information, this checkbox, you will actually see about the fact that the response which is going to be coming back to you, it would be telling you the fact that, excuse me, that you have not enabled this setting. Please make sure that you enable this setting. Once you do, you're all set to go. So as you can see, so these are the 3 prerequisites which we are talking about. As you can see, these are all admin related. This once and done, admin has to do this, and then the whole connected app flow or a server access token server JWT server flow would be ready for you to go. So I would like to show you a really quick demo how we are going to do this. So so this is for admin. Now in our app, we talked about consent. So consent in our DocuSign app launchers, and this is our app. And when I try to register a new user, a non-admin user, I'm going to say log into demo account. And then here I am going to ask, I'm going to log into my application. So this would be my application. I'm sorry, it's coming across as so this is the user or non-admin user logging inside Salesforce. And here, a DocuSign app launcher is requesting permission to create and send envelope. This is when you install the package. This would be your regular permissions or scopes which you want your user to have. You should say accept. And this asks me to log into Salesforce again. It's the common flow. This is during connection, my application has figured out, or so DocuSign has figured out that this is the user. And this is what authorized access to Salesforce. This access allows us to upload documents to Salesforce and attach them to records where organization need them. So this is the consent which a non-admin or users have to give it once when they sign into your app via Salesforce. This is the access. This is the consent which we required. All it is doing at this point of time is saying that, hey, please let the connected app talk used in DocuSign talk to Salesforce. So this is one-time consent which you provide and you're all set. It goes back to that. Now you have registered 100% into DocuSign. Now, since this user has been registered, what I did was I basically went ahead and I created a demo script. So if you can see, this is a simple program. All it does, as I said, it takes a username and URL. It returns you back the Salesforce access token. Then it asks you, I'm going to show you the flow where we are doing a document write back. And then I will show you where the document has been written back. So I'm going to go and I'm going to launch this console application. So username would be my Salesforce username in which I have logged in. And this is a Scratch org. So my base URL would be this. And this is where the magic happens. Here you go. You have an access token. This will provide you the ability to talk to Salesforce. It is giving you an instance URL. The token type would be bearer. So instance URL is, this is what my instance is. This is where I'm going to talk to my org. And,
Hey, Shantanu,
I'm sorry,
could,
yes.
could you zoom in a little bit more? I am a little short-sighted or long-sighted, or
No,
I'm squinting at the screen. Thank you.
It's my bad. I did on one of the screen, but I did not realize on this application. So I apologize for that. So once this is an authentication, which has happened after given the permission, and authentication has happened correctly. And you can see that the source ID, and now it is asking for us where to write the information. So I'm just going to pick up a random, please bear with me. I'm just going to pick up a random opportunity where I want to write. So it's like United Oil installation. All I need is a source ID. So as you can see here, the three parameters which are required are source ID. This is the document name, which I want to write back. And this is basically, actually, should be a text file. It can be any type, and this is the document content. So whenever you write a document inside, this is again like writing a bag. This is a standard flow I'm pretty sure everyone is doing. So this is base 64 encoded string, which basically of the string which I'm trying to write. So I have this access token, and using this access token, I'm going to do a write back on this source ID, on this opportunity, save the file with this name, with this content. Here you can see I'm establishing connection with Salesforce and writing back file contact and successful. So if I go back to this, source, and this is the source which we picked up, you can see access token gen.txt file was written. And if I basically open it, it shows this is testing for access token generation flow. So you can see that we were able to do a write back to a document or to a Salesforce opportunity or any object for that matter without any external user interaction. So we did all this information, all this operation by just using the access token. We just generated a new access token and we just wrote back a file content to a given source using SOQL queries and SOQL queries. So this is pretty much the flow which it looks like. Are there any questions? Okay.
Not at this moment.
Okay, perfect. So yeah, and I can now I'm just going to be a little cavalier and I can just show you what all I'm going to change the opportunity. And again, please bear with me. And this is me just going so same thing I just wanted to show you again is the fact that I can write it anywhere. So I enter the username and URL. It would be again the same context. And please remember that this is the connected app which is taking, which it is basically using to write it. And then here, this is another source ID. And if I change the name to be if we go back to this source ID, which in this scenario is Edge SLA, if you see there is nothing in notes and attachment, once we have the access token and we have the instance URL, you can see the same file is written somewhere else as well. Since a lot of us are developers, what happens, as I said, what happens if there is an error scenario? The beauty of this is the fact that it gives us very good error scenarios as well. So say suppose I go here, and I give, oops, my apologies. So this is a Scratch org, but I say, please go ahead and log into this org. So it will say invalid run. The user has not approved this consumer. If you see, this was a demo org and the user has not enabled it in production org. So that's why it will give you, this clearly means that, I mean, it's a Salesforce telling you that user has not approved this consumer. Please make sure either you give it, if this org has given connected, have been given permission into production, this will basically start working as well. One other cool thing which I like about this is, say, suppose, excuse me, I somehow mistyped the username.
That happens to me all the time.
It says user hasn't approved this consumer, again, because this user doesn't exist. So it's able to tell you that, hey, this user is not there. And since there is no user like this, there is not a valid consumer for this user. So that's why this is the errors kind of for scenario. And this becomes like, we have created a chart where we can basically do a lookup saying, hey, this is the error which we got. And most of the time it's very useful for us, because when a customer comes to us and say, hey, this is the problem, all we can do is we can write this, tell them, hey, this is the error and this is how you can fix it. So it definitely reduces all your overhead with respect to customer support. I mean, we have been planning to write this back to Salesforce itself so that you can see the error and you yourself would be able to solve the errors as an org admin without even without even asking your application to do something for you. So yeah.
Shantanu, I have a question for you.
Oh, sure.
Is JWT the only way for this? Can't this be done by a usual auth code and refresh token?
That's a great question. That's a really good question. I think as a part of OAuth 2.0, JWT access token, it only provides you the new access token. Salesforce has not introduced the concept of refresh token as of now. So you can use the existing refresh token flow, which is already there. But for the new jot flow, you can basically, it does not provide you refresh token. It just provides you JWT new access tokens. I hope that answers the question.
There's a reason behind not providing a refresh token, because once you receive the refresh token, now you have to store that securely somewhere. So it's because you already have the certificate securely stored, certificate and the client ID securely stored, you can just create a new jot token and use that.
That's a great answer. Yes, absolutely. Again, we want to make sure that you have least number of storage. You have to store least number of information, and certificate is something which does not change, or a password for a certificate does not change often. So that reduces your external cost to basically store another information. So I hope this demo was useful. So what are the improvement which we have seen? Of course, in order to aspire for more security, OAuth 2.0 is the protocol which is being used. Facebook and Google and a lot of other established companies use this as well. It does not requires user interaction. If you see, we have to provide, admin has to do certain tasks at the start where he has to set up the connected app, upload password, and then after that, the user, the non-admin user, all they have to do is basically provide the consent once, and that's it. There is no interaction required in any case. We are able to generate thousands of Salesforce access token requests daily. This system is as in our latest package, which is being used by a lot of customers, and we are able to generate this on fly. If you see, the 50th percentile latency is only 329 milliseconds. Within 329 milliseconds, for every request, you can generate a new jot token, or actually jot token and Salesforce access token. The 99th percentile latency has been 5 seconds. This data has been taken over 2 days. And as you can see, that 5 seconds for generating access token, but it's the 99th out of 100 user, which basically has to see this. This has proved very useful for us, not only in terms of development and in terms of managing the code. It has also been very useful for us in terms of customer requests as well. If you are able to log the errors directly in the customer org, they can, before even talking to us, they can go and look at what the errors are, and that reduces their cost, and at the same time it reduces our cost as well. These are this is an appendix we have put together. where you basically have a chart flow in Salesforce, then how to create a Salesforce connected app and connect it to your org. And remember, the same connected app can be used across multiple products as well. And then this is how you can generate an OpenSSL connected app certificate and key. Once these three things are done, all you need to do as a part of your app is basically create a return URL, and you're all set to use this new flow. That was pretty much which we had for all of you. I hope that was useful, and I think it's over. Back to you, Lauren.
That it is. Okay, folks, I just put some of the links that Shantanu had showed in the appendix. I put them in the chat bar just in case you are not quick enough to type them out. They are in there for you. So please shout if you do not have them, or if there's other links you need, please use the Q&A feature and we will get them over to you. With that being said, Shantanu, I do have a couple of questions for you. Are you ready? And reminder, attendees, we have two or three more swag packs to give out. So, and there's bonus points if you stump Shantanu and Neil. So get those questions coming into me. But Shantanu, question. You did this demo in Lightning. Believe it or not, there's still some Salesforce customers that are in Classic, and I'm going to hold my hand up and say I am a Classic girl. I will always be a Classic girl. I just love it to death. Don't shoot me, folks. But with that, can we still do these steps using Classic?
That's a great question, and we see these questions a lot of time. And actually, this is supported right now in Lightning and REST, not in SOAP and Classic.
Okay.
Unfortunately, you will have to use Lightning for this.
No worries. Thank you for clarifying that. Next question I have is, since the admin is given all the permissions, in whose context is a Salesforce Access token generated?
That's a great question. Yeah, this is something which we were stuck, and we were basically not sure how to do this. So actually, the context is the username which you're given. So it can be a non-admin user or the admin user. So if there's an employee on your in your team, and or if there's an employee who's basically who's using their product in their company, that employee not being an admin can still use this, and we will write the document in his or her context. So it's not admin context, but it's the context of who sends the envelope or who sends the document.
Okay. Awesome sauce. Next question is, do we need to add a connected app under the user profile or permission set in Salesforce?
Neil, do you want to take this question?
Go ahead, take it.
So yes, so the user has to add this under user profile. And what was the other thing?
Do we need to add a connected app under the user profile or permission set?
Yes. So you do have to add this connected app under the user profile. Yes, you do. Because once you enable a user disable it, you will basically see the error that the connected app has not been approved. So you do have to add these as in the user profile. Awesome.
Cool. Folks, is there any more questions? Remember, you're getting swag packs. And also, we have two back-end developers or engineers on this call, so feel free to ask them any questions. Stump them, please. Next question I have here is, can we use the same connected app for both prod and sandbox environments?
Oh, brilliant. Yes. Yes, you can use the same exact connected app for sandbox and for production environment. This is an org level setting. If you have the same org, all you need to do is provide the base URL, whether you are generating the access token on your sandbox, which is going to be either test or some other environment, versus test.salesforce.com or login.salesforce.com or demo.salesforce.com. So yes, you can use the same exact connected app across your different environment, including different communities as well within your org, of course.
Woohoo! Awesome. Next one I have is, do we generate digital signatures to authenticate via the connected, sorry, apologies. I'll reread that because I got it wrong. How do we generate digital signatures to authenticate via the connected app?
Great question. So the way digital signatures are generated, it's an OpenSSL certificate, which you can generate by writing a few. OpenSSL is a standard protocol for generating certificate. So you can just use that. I have given you the links for that. There are specific commands which will create an X590 certificate for you. You have to save it as I think a cert file, and when the digital signature just needs to be uploaded in your connected app. It's a 4-line step, and it's one and done.
Awesome. We did get a question from Blanca that I'm going to answer. Yes, Blanca, all resource links from this session and all sessions throughout the DocuSign e-signature for Salesforce week will be on a landing page with the videos and in our follow-up email. So you will get all the details, and we will post all videos on the YouTube page, DocuSign for Developers. So just so you know, if you're missing something or you want to go back and check things or follow along, we will have all those videos for you.
One thing I want to add to our improvements page, as you saw that our 50th percentile was a little over 300 milliseconds, and but our 99th percentile was about 5 seconds. Now you have to take this into account that DocuSign is calling into Salesforce API across the internet, and we don't have any guaranteed leased line to Salesforce. So some of this latency is due to variation in this latency is partly due to Salesforce servers variation, and I think predominantly due to the variation in the bandwidth between DocuSign's data centers and Salesforce data centers. And so there's a good chance that if you're implementing all of this on, say, Heroku or some other infrastructure that's closer to Salesforce's data center, then you may see even better numbers.
Awesome.
That's great point, Neil. Thank you.
Cool. So another question we have here is, are there any specific permissions which a non-admin has to enable this?
Sorry, I was muted. That's a great question. We just showed you that there is, apart from that, consent for on your behalf, where you provide the ability for the non-admin user to write on their behalf. There is no other permission which needs to be provided. The only thing which would be required would be API enabled, which would be done across the board by the admin itself.
Cool. Another question in is, what is the life of the access token that we get from JWT, and who controls it?
Yes, so that's a great question. So the access token, so the Salesforce access token lifetime can basically be set by an admin. There is a default, I think, of 60 minutes, but you can alter it. But if you see in the flow, we generate a small JWT token first, which is then sent out to Salesforce to get the actual access token. That JWT timeline, that JWT expiration is basically can be set by you. So you want to make sure that your JWT token itself expires, say, suppose in 5 minutes, then you will not be able to generate the access token beyond 5 minutes. It will say that the JWT token has been expired, so you cannot generate this. That's why this is useful, because you are more secure if your access token does not stays over the wire, or if anyone gets an access to it, they cannot use it. They cannot use it for more than 5 minutes. So it's a configurable value for the JWT token, and you get to control it. Based on my research, I have seen that unless you want to store these in some kind of Redis, if you're a high traffic application and you want to store it somewhere in memory, 5 minutes is a good time. And within 5 minutes, you would be able to do an end-to-end operation. But that being said, it depends upon what are the operations which you want to do on the user's behalf.
Cool. And on that topic as well, can a Salesforce user revoke the authorization of the connected app?
Yes, the Salesforce user can. If Salesforce users does not like to send any documents or anything for that matter, he can go to his own profile and say, hey, I do not want to, I want to revoke the connected app. And this flow will automatically stop. This is also a blessing in disguise, that if somehow there is a reset done by the user, and if the permission has been revoked, the error message would be sent back. It's very clear, and you would be able to see. You can tell the user that, hey, please go ahead and enable this, and you'll be good to go.
Awesome. So does any such change mentioned above or mentioned that you just said there, does it break the back end in DocuSign?
Yes, as I said, it will. It will basically cause your access token not to be generated and you'll not be able to perform any operations. So yes, you have to re-enable the connected app. Only then you would be able to do the operations on DocuSign would be able to do the operations on behalf of you, the Salesforce.
Cool. And the last question I have for you is JWT OAuth versus SAML auth flow. Which one would you recommend?
Oh, that's a great question. So yeah, SAML, SAML has been used for a very long time in Salesforce, and it's another way of doing the authentication. It's more or less, it's a little more concrete implementation where you basically it gives you the ability to log into Salesforce directly. That being said, people have used SAML, extended SAML to extended SAML's ability to talk between applications as well. What happens in SAML is you generate, instead of a JOT token in the middle, you generate a SAML assertion. So you basically, SAML assertion means a really big payload XML where you can actually, all the information is in plain text. You can see that assertion and then you send that assertion over the wire. Instead, in JOT token, you have a compact token which is encrypted and it's very secure, and you send it over the wire to Salesforce in order to get an access token. Personally, it's our recommendation to use, or we at DocuSign decided to select a JOT authentication flow. And that's what we would recommend to use it. It's low maintenance. You don't have to maintain anything. A lot of information is not shown as a part of assertion, and creating a JOT token is way easier than creating a SAML assertion. So yeah.
Awesome. Cool. And with that, we are almost out of time. So I'm going to wrap it up. Thank you so much, Neil and Shantanu, for sharing your knowledge with us.
Oh, thank you. It was super fun.
Awesome.
You're most welcome.
And as I mentioned, all the resources and links from this session and all our other sessions will be on a landing page with the videos, and also on the follow-up email that you'll receive after this event. So please note, you will receive a survey at the end of the webinar. So if you could please just fill that out, that would really help me, just so I know if this is a informative session for you, if there's more information you would like to see, if there is anything at all that I can tailor make for your needs, please let me know in that survey. Shantanu, if you could go to my resource slide, just so that I can make sure I have everything correct. Awesome. So there's a whole heap of developer resources that you as a customer or partner, or even someone who's curious about DocuSign, can avail of. We have our Developer Center, which has a whole load of SDKs or software development kits that you can use. If you have any questions that you need answered, by all means, please go to Stack Overflow and tag DocuSign API, because myself and our team do reach out and go through Stack Overflow to provide information to you. Our support center has admin guides and how-to guides and user guides. That is all on the support center. I'm a big advocate for learning, so DocuSign University is one that I love to champion. You can sign up completely free. You do not need to be a DocuSign customer. You can use a Gmail account, you can use a Hotmail account, and even if you have an AOL account, we will not judge you. You can still avail of DocuSign University. They're all self-paced courses. We have a developer blog where you can basically catch up on all what's going on. We have our engineers providing blogs, etc. So you can get a lot there. I've already mentioned our YouTube channel. This session, many others. We have how-to videos and developer deep dives with product managers and so on that channel, and feel free to check it out. We are in the middle of DocuSign e-signature for Salesforce Week. So with that, there is more meetups. There's a meetup tomorrow, which is a completely informal session. If you want to catch up and network with other folks that are on this call, you will be able to unmute yourselves and chat. We also have a DocuSign Agreement Cloud in the Customer 360. That is another session we have tomorrow. And July 1st, we have 2 sessions, the DocuSign e-signature for Salesforce best practices and tips. This is my session. Feel free to come, join, listen to me talk, and tell you how all the best practices we have. And then there's our last session of the week, 5 tips to speed up revenue cycle with DocuSign for Salesforce. We have a couple of things coming up. There is meetups. There's July 21st and August 25th. They are both Salesforce meetups that I am hosting, so feel free to join me there. We have API office hours July 13th and August 3rd. And then we have Live from the Trenches as well with Matt King. This is live coding. We have July 20th and August 10th. We have some partner resources as well. As I said, all this goes out to you in an email, so don't worry about trying to write down all those links. So thank you so much for joining me. I hope you got something out of this event, and I hope to see you at the next one.